Warning, warning. This is a global ice out. Global ice out. Testing the right speaker. Right. Testing the left speaker. Left. Sound successfully recovered. Swan Commander. Connected. And now, the countdown has begun. And now, are you ready for a journey that goes beyond the norms? The Federal Prospects Hockey League just celebrated its 15th anniversary. With a footprint and fan base rapidly expanding, Swan Hockey is now bringing you behind the scenes. Beyond what you see at games. Beyond the arenas. Beyond the crowds. This is FPHL, Beyond the Glass.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of FPHL Beyond the Glass. I'm your host, Eric Swanick, Swan Commander on social media. This is the official podcast of the Federal Prospects Hockey League. Hope everybody had an awesome Thanksgiving. We've got a pretty cool episode coming up here, a little bit different. So we're going to be joined by Jon Kliment, the broadcaster for the Topeka Scarecrows. I learned some stuff doing this podcast with him. I did not realize the amount of work that broadcasters, him specifically, put in. I did not know that Jon called an NHL game. Really cool stuff. Really, I think this was a fun episode to do. So we're going to get into that. First, we're going to sit down with Dave Jackson. We're going to go over suspensions. Not a whole lot this week in terms of suspensions, but we do have one that packed a pretty big punch. So we're going to get into that with Dave. We're going to sit down with Dave first, and then we're going to go over to Jon. Let's do it. What's going on, Dave? How are you?
Eric, how are you?
Doing great.
Happy good Thanksgiving for you.
Yeah, very good. How about you?
Good. It was quiet this year, so every now and then you need a quiet Thanksgiving without the hectic.
Not a bad thing.
It wasn't one of those family fiascos. It was just my wife and I, so it was kind of nice.
I hear you. Well, kind of, I guess, relatively quiet in the Federal League, but we got, do have some suspensions. Let's dive into them.
Yeah. So, excuse me. We had a couple of things. We had a major penalty for spearing. One guy took offense to his opponent, and he decided to give him the business in the lower extremities, which is always kind of a cheap shot. And so he got a game suspension for that. But we had a match penalty for slew footing in Topeka, and I agree with the match penalty call. What I'd like to just point out to the viewers is every time somebody goes down by a skate, so essentially you're tripped by a skate, it's not always a slew foot. My definition from player safety, a slew foot happens normally when you're in the corner battling for a puck, and you use your hands, your arm, your forearm across the player's upper body to force him backwards in conjunction with sweeping his foot out with your skate. That's a slew foot. So that there has to be some sort of upper body pressure applied to make the player go down even harder. You're kind of throwing him to the ice while using your foot.
Almost like a UFC takedown or something.
Exactly. So I'm not saying that you need to use your hand on the upper body for it to be a suspension or whatever. I suspended somebody this weekend. All I'm saying is every time somebody falls or goes down because of a skate from the back of the leg, it's not always a slew foot. I'm just trying to explain the difference in the semantics of the rule. So we had a player come in on the forecheck, skating very hard. He was pursuing the defenseman behind the net. He caught the defenseman as he released the pass, and he stuck his leg out, not one, but both of his legs, and just took his feet out with a leg sweep, and down the player went. He went down really hard. Fortunately, he wasn't injured, could have been injured. Very dangerous play. And I switched that from a slew foot to a match penalty for attempt to injure, tripping. Okay. And that's the difference. It's not a slew foot, it's tripping. It still carries a penalty, it still carries a suspension. But if you're going to categorize it, that's not your classic slew foot. So that's just sort of hockey 101 for the fans out there that want to understand when something's called what's a trip versus what's a slew foot. And then we kind of had a interesting, pardon me, I'm losing my voice here. We had an interesting situation involving Athens and Moreau.
Yep.
Scantlebury got in a fight. I believe he was assessed instigator. And as he was leaving the ice, he turned back around. He did nothing wrong. He left the ice, turned back around, and as he was facing the crowd, this guy comes up to him from behind, dressed in a suit and tie, grabbed him in the back of the neck, just kind of knocked him off balance, threw him to the ice, hit him again when he was down. Then you see somebody else come in their frame. Apparently, it's the bus driver for Scantlebury's team, acting as dual role as bus driver,
Third man in.
team security. They got involved. I don't fault the bus driver. I mean, he sees his one of his players getting assaulted by someone who's not in hockey gear. So I haven't made my decision on. Yeah. Unfortunately, these are the kind of things that play out in the media, and we had a ton of really highlight goals. We had some great plays this weekend. We had some really big hits. We have some talented hockey players. We have some great hockey, and something like this is what makes social media. People are on, and everybody's seeing, guy in a suit, bus driver getting in a fight. It's just not good for the league. It's not good publicity, and those are the kind of things that we don't want them to become stereotypes. We don't want people to think of the Fed and go, oh yeah, that's when the bus driver fought the player off the ice. We wanted the Fed to be known for the great hockey we have, for the exciting goals, for the great saves that get made. So I'll be ruling on that later today. I was waiting to see if there was a police report or not, and it's unacceptable. We can't have players. It's one thing, heat of the moment. You're in deep in the action on the ice. Things happen you regret, but we deal with it and move on. But there's no room for a deliberate, calculated move by a player in a suit and tie on street shoes who goes after an opponent in that opponent's tunnel. You had no business being over there. That's, even though it might be your building, visiting team has a certain area that's their area alone. And when they're in town, you can't be there. So there will be a suspension. It'll be announced later today. And hopefully it'll be enough to deter any other players from doing the same thing. So there you have it. Two or three suspensions this weekend, but one of them is high profile, and we got to hope that kind of stuff doesn't happen again.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be looking for your ruling. I think, we may have it by the time this airs, but I'll be looking for your ruling, and sounds good. And right back at it next week.
For sure. You'll have it in a couple of hours. We can all agree or disagree with it, but the buck stops with me. Somebody's got to make the decision. So
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
It'll be out shortly.
So, all right. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too.
See you, everyone.
See you. Hey guys, our new merch drop is live now on SH360. Visit 360.swanhockey.com and you can access it now. Once an item is gone, it may never return. You can also check the time capsule for older items. All SH360 purchases have season pass points attached. Just make sure that you use the same email address on SH360 as you do for Swan Hockey Digital. For more information or help with season pass, join the Discord. What's going on, John? Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
No, I appreciate you having me. Obviously thrilled to be here, and another beautiful day here in Topeka, Kansas.
Yeah, what's the weather out there like now these days?
It's cold, but you know what? That means it's hockey season, so I'm always happy when it's cold.
Yeah. I like the cold. I just don't like too cold anymore. And for me, it's like when it's wet, right? Like even, like for me, it's like I'll take the high 20s, like fine. But when it's at high 30s and wet, that's when I'm like, oh.
When it starts melting a little bit. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it's just like, I guess same thing in the summer, right? When it's, not humid, it's bearable. When it's humid, it's like, oh, but, but awesome. No, I'm happy and I appreciate you being here. You are the first broadcaster that we're bringing on the show. And I think it's I think it's very important, for people to hear from you. I think it kind of goes I don't want to say unnoticed. Like, I think everybody knows and appreciates what the broadcasters do. I think that a lot of people don't realize the impact though that the broadcasters have. Like, if you ever tried watching a hockey game without sound, it's not the same. Like, the broadcasters are really the ones carrying the show and the fan experience at that point, right? Like, everybody talks about the fan experience in arena at the game. Well, the fan experience at home and how the game's being presented, I mean, you're driving the ship.
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal when I talk to people who want to get into this field and who are interested in doing this, and interns I've had, I tell them, listen, your first job is to put butts in seats. Your first job is to get people to tune you off and get into the building and watch the product on the ice. So when we're on the road and we're talking about whatever's going on in the game, the whole object is to put butts in seats when we get back home and have these great crowds that we've been lucky enough to have here in Topeka. I think one of the nice things too about being a broadcaster in the Federal Prospects League is you're not really just a broadcaster. I know in my days I do so much more than that with broadcasting and prep work. Obviously, that takes a lot of time, and a lot of that's on my own time. When I'm in the office, I'm doing group sales and corporate sales and immigration with the guys and getting guys to practice, scheduling trips, working out travel plans. I think the behind the scenes stuff is definitely not seen, and it's a good thing. And hopefully, people are not able to tell that they've got a lot of things going on. But I think it's vastly underappreciated how much of the stuff that really goes into it, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of every day at work is a little bit different. So
Okay, yeah. So the actual broadcasting is just what everybody sees. That's the final.
yeah.
That's the final cherry on top. People aren't seeing everything
Yep.
else that goes into it on a daily basis, weekly basis. And how much the responsibility is. You mentioned in the FPHL, and how long have you been in the FPHL now as a broadcaster?
I started in 1819 in the Fed with the Elmira Enforcers. I was lucky enough to be hired as the voice and the only voice of the Enforcers actually through their 3-year run. While I was
Okay,
in
wow.
So I was working for Robbie Nichols, and I've had the honor and opportunity to work for him a couple times. Worked there for all 3 years that we played, including the COVID year, when I learned how to do many things I don't think any broadcaster ever learns how to do, creating COVID comeback plans from COVID and drive a Zamboni and do every other darn thing you can do around an arena, just to keep the lights on and keep people going. Um, Personal protective attire, all that stuff, and all the crazy stuff we went through in 2020. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I did all that. Then I worked the next year. Robbie called me up and said, we're going to Danville, which was Vermilion County, working with the Bobcats. I was there for their one successful year. Don't look at the record, but the attendance you can look at. We did 1 year there in Danville, which went really well, and they made it through. And obviously, it was crazy, but it was an experience I'll never forget. Went down and helped start Baton Rouge. The year that they had the neutral site games, I went and just sold tickets. So I was there for the start of the Zydeco, and then on to Macon, where I called some games for the Mayhem. Went back to Elmira with the River Sharks. Spent some time there. Spent the season there before I got the call to go down to Biloxi and was with the Seawolves for their final season. And tail end of the season, I got a call. Was told pre the announcement that somebody was coming here, the head coach, and I called him up. I said, if you're going, I'm going. And now I'm here in Topeka, Kansas. So
Yeah, so it's been a wild ride, and actually a ride that kind of very much does mirror a player. A lot of the players they're getting traded or shuffled around, or different opportunities here or there, and kind of rolling with the punches and seeing where it goes. It's really kind of the same for you.
yeah, I was very fortunate with the Enforcers to have 3 years in one location. It was an opportunity to really call Elmira home. It's a special arena, special group of people that come to the games and work there, and it's now into junior level, so a whole new group of people are getting to appreciate what Elmira can bring. But yeah, since then it's been a lot of 1 year, and then somebody calls, and I've had the opportunity to throughout my career I just did the math. It was 5 teams I've helped start, get off to a successful start, and that to me it fuels me. I love the new market and the damaged market, if you will, that struggled and had some trouble. And for me, getting out in the community, it's part of my DNA. It's what I love. It's bringing the love for hockey back to the game. So that's why I love broadcasting. You get to talk hockey for 3.5 hours at least twice a week, and you can't beat that. So getting the chance to do it in the community all the time and reinvigorate people's love for this game, it's special. And broadcaster's not a player, so maybe not the same happiness to see me walk in as versus one of the 20 guys in the room, but it's the experiences I get to share that people love to hear about. So it's exciting for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then obviously, again, kind of very much like a player where you're building those relationships. And even though you've been in multiple different spots, you've been with some familiar faces, right? It's like obviously Robbie Nichols is a familiar face.
Yeah.
And then, Don Lewis, familiar face, right? Like,
No, actually, I hadn't ever worked with Don.
Don, really?
No. So Don and I met last year when I was in Biloxi at the tail end of the year after the situation that everyone knows and doesn't know.
Okay.
So Don kind of helped facilitate some things with Mississippi and getting through the end of the season, and extremely grateful to him for that. But I didn't know Don before last season. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's it's very fascinating, like the whole journey. Like what's been what's the most challenging part? Right. It's like, again, like we compare it to players, like players have certain challenges and everything. Like what's some of the challenges that you would say for a broadcaster, and not necessarily bad things, just like stuff that like what it takes to be good, that like fans maybe don't realize, like what's something that it's like, all right, like I really got to be on my game to get this done this week, or to bring that consistency, like that kind of stuff.
What day of the week is it?
Walk us through your week. I'm happy you said that. How does what's the shift like for the week? Like, how does a week start? How does it end? Like, what is a week like?
Well, so the end of the week is whenever your last game finishes. This last week we played a 3-3. So my shift ended. We had a 3-3 with Port Huron, obviously a very good team. We managed to come away with 2 victories, and they talked about being sick, but hey, 6 points is 6 points, so we'll take it. But after the game, we had a Booster Club Christmas party, so I then had to go over and do that and be a representative of the team over there. So by the time I got home that night, it was probably 10:30. And hey, Biloxi's coming up, and we haven't seen them since week 2 of the season. So immediately I'm watching their Saturday night game, their Friday night game. I probably do 20 hours of video review myself, watching games for teams coming into town over the course of the week beforehand. But also we had to get, player payroll put in and make sure that gets done. So those guys are taken care of. We had, working through our merchandise numbers, working through our all the other numbers that we have here, that ticketing and all of that. We're looking at groups for who's coming for this week. We've got an anthem group. We've got several other groups coming. We've got community events scheduled. We've been at Chick-fil-A the last 2 nights, so making sure we had players for that. We're a staff really of about 3 full-time employees with Robbie, Mark Witt, our assistant GM, Luca, our game operations guy, and then myself. So I guess it's 4, not 3, but it's a staff of 4 that's constantly working, and Robbie, the coach, and I go on the road. So when we're not here, it's just Mark and Luca, and it's constantly something to do. So we do that. Like I said, when I go home at night, even though the day may end at 5 or 6 o'clock, depending on public events. Like I said, we were at Chick-fil-A till about 7 o'clock last night. Then I'm watching film and trying to keep myself up and doing stat sheets and getting ready and making my charts. I don't do the traditional broadcaster boards. I have a different chart that I like.
Okay.
So yeah, I do that, and that carries on throughout the week. Every day, as I said, a little different. Yesterday I was doing corporate phone calls with a couple of clients and hopefully potential clients. So again, please call the Scarecrows front office. We'd love to work with anybody listening to the podcast. Then today, again, I'm doing the podcast with you. I've got an event coming up here at 3 o'clock today at a school that we're doing highs buys. So we go to the school in the morning and wave hi to all the kids as they come in, or say bye as they're leaving and give them high fives. So we're doing all that, and then I'll go home and watch more film and try to finish my paperwork for the weekend. So then game days are setting up tables, hoping everything goes off without a hitch, and getting that 3.5 hours of peace where I get to put a headset on and talk about hockey. So that's
Yeah, that's
that's
a
the
lot.
week for me.
That's a lot. Yeah. Now, what's all the film review for?
For me, it's a lot. So I was blessed to work with the Boston Bruins last year on a mentorship, scouting mentorship,
Okay.
and I think it took my insight in the games a lot deeper than what it has been in the past.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
so I do a lot of, okay, so what's the power play? What's the penalty kill? How do they
Okay, so you're
lead
doing
the
actual hockey analytics when you're reviewing the.
Yeah, especially in the Fed, we don't have the advantage of the color commentator all the time. I don't have a guy I can say, hey, take us inside what this was or what that was. Those are reserved for my player interviews in between periods where I have to like rush and put something through real quick. I've got maybe 2.5 minutes. So really, I don't have the breakdown stuff that the NHL, AHL, ECHL guys have with a color commentator. I have to
Okay.
dissect it on the air myself. So I'm trying to translate it to layman as well, so that anybody listening, I don't sound like I'm just preaching. Oh well, that's this and blah 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 blah. I'm trying to break it down and dissect it. So
So
for
all
me,
the scouting stuff that you're doing is towards helping the broadcast.
that's the goal. Yep. I hope it
Wow.
does, and hopefully people tune in and see that. But
That's awesome. I never thought of that. Like
Yeah.
that's awesome. Like I never thought that the broadcasters would be doing that. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so much of it, and I say this, it's a lot like being a video coach. Like you're breaking down everything and looking at it and trying to, because you're talking about this for 3.5 hours. Like you have
Yeah.
to know what you're seeing and what you're observing. And hey, this guy has a tendency, he's going to go glove side, 6 out of every 8 times he does that. So like watch that and keep in tune for, what the consistencies are. So really the analytics side of it is very much part of the broadcasting game.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like I said, I never thought that broadcasters would be doing that. That's really insightful. And I think that, again, it's just really cool to know, and for everybody at home to know. All right, so here's a question I have. How do you keep track of like everybody's numbers so quickly? Like your team, like I get it, but like when you're watching a broadcast and they're talking about the visiting team and they're like just just ripping off the names of like, the crazy passing play, like over this guy, like how do you keep track of all those guys like so easily? Or they're little like not cheats, but like little kind of like, all right, we could fill in it. Like there's a universal way of saying this that's always going to work or whatever. We don't have to actually say the name or.
So there's the 20 hours of film I just talked about. What you try to do is catch, hey, when he turns, he cuts like this. So I know that's this player. When his helmet's a little,
So you know what they look like.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. By
That's
the
incredible.
end of the week to try to do that. Sometimes a new player gets acquired, and you're like, okay, I don't know him, so that's got to be him. And I'm as guilty as anybody about misidentifying somebody. So, but what I do have is my sheet. I keep it in numerical order. So if I lose it for a second, down 21, okay, that's who that is. Right back, and you can't really tell that I had to look, but I do have my cheat sheet there for me. So.
Yeah, with all the numbers and everything.
Yep, numbers, number, name, whole stat sheet, everything right up to my.
So some of the specialty jerseys nights must drive you nuts because those are different numbers sometimes, aren't they? Or depending on the organization.
They never ask about the specialty jerseys. The guy who has to read those jerseys for the next 3.5 hours. I always love when there's a camo military night and they blend them in. Or a couple years ago, Fayetteville did an all blackout jersey and they put this thin orange line around the numbers, and I'm like, if you've ever been to the top of Fayetteville's arena, you're not going to see that orange line. So yeah, that was thrilling. I was like, oh, thanks so much. Appreciate that. But yeah, there was a lot of, and the marksmen have the puck that night. But yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's really fascinating. I wanted to ask you what's been like the most memorable moment? Like what was the most like iconic game that you called? Like what was the most memorable one for you?
Good or bad?
Give me either. Oh, actually, no. I got one for you too. After this, if you don't bring this up as your most memorable, I'm gonna bring it up. But
okay,
give me whichever one you want, good or bad.
I'll give you the bad one first. So it was like my first season calling games for the Elmira Enforcers. We made it to the finals. Went to the second game of the finals. We outplayed Carolina, which Carolina was a beast. Before Binghamton existed, Carolina was that team. There's a reason their head coach is scouting in the NHL and now has 2 Stanley Cup rings as well. Andre Niche, congratulations. You know, all that. But that being said, game 2, there was a shot in overtime, and it got covered up by the goaltender, Troy Passingham, our goaltender. And he gets up and he flips it at the referee, but the referee's calling goal, and I went off. So that was absolutely like the worst. I was a rookie broadcaster too. It was just terrible. So I'm glad that one doesn't exist on YouTube. But yeah, I definitely made commentary on that one that I'm lucky to have a job. The best one for me, last year during that Bruins mentorship, it wasn't even a called game. Like I just got to do it and do a little thing, but I got to call a game from the Bruins press box, which was unbelievable. It was Hockey is for Everyone night too, so it was really special to me. So to be there and be a part of that was fantastic. But
was it an NHL game that you called?
It was, yeah. It was Jets and Bruins, and it was just phenomenal. Like the staff.
That's sick. Like a regular season game?
Yeah. It was January 30th last year, and I will never forget the day. It was awesome.
Yeah, I never knew you called an NHL game.
Yep. That's so got that opportunity, and a huge thanks to the Bruins for that. But the one that hit closest to home, I grew up in Binghamton, New York, man. Like I grew up a Whalers fan, then a Rangers fan. Not so much the Iceman. I kind of ducked out during the mid-'90s after the Rangers left. And then went back with the Sens and worked for them as a merchandise guy. I worked in merch for 10 years before I got into broadcasting. And to call a game in Binghamton, and it was my first one was with the River Sharks, to step back in that arena. And we're not going to talk about the final score. But, you know, my whole family showed up. They came out. We took a photo out in the concourse. And, you know, that was a bucket list item to call a game in my hometown arena, the arena I grew up and fell in love with this game. And that was special. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The one I wanted to ask you about, and it's not good or bad. It's just all in good fun, right? Like these are kind of things that make these are like what I'm about to say. These are kind of things that make the league great and entertaining, and it's all in good fun. Mm-hmm. Was when Elmira played Battle Creek, who hadn't won a game all year long, and Robbie was running the promotion guaranteed win night and then lost.
All right.
I know the roster was like decimated and everything, but it was just the funniest thing. Like it made ESPN. And like, you know, again, just all in good fun, right? Like, what was that game like?
So, all right, here's the funny thing: is Guaranteed Win Night is a Robbie Nichols promotion dating back to like the ECHL days when he ran the Jackals. And the original thing that nobody ever mentions is it was originally against Menor, not Battle Creek. It was originally against the Menor Icebreakers. So then we got Battle Creek, and the beginning of that week, I can't remember who made the joke. It might have been Troy, our ticket guy at the time, but he goes, "Are we sure we want to keep?" Because this would be so bad. And we laughed about it because really what it was a promotion, and you know, we had a Wednesday game coming up that was just going to be, whatever. And so the whole point was to try to get people to that game. But yeah, so then we come out there Friday night. We just had nobody in the lineup. It was the walking wounded. Our head coach was literally playing center on the first line. It was terrible. So then they win, and I stuck with it for a little bit longer than I normally do after a loss. I was like, Battle Creek gets their first win. Congratulations to the Rumblebees, and big win for Battle Creek. And then I went down the office like dreading what was coming because I'm just like, oh, this is gonna be bad. And then we come back and we beat them the next night, which nobody talks about. But that being said, it was a crazy night, and just everything lined up perfectly, and that unfortunately was their only win of the season. So anytime I talk to people, that's the first one that, weren't you guys? Yes, yeah, guaranteed win night. Yeah.
Yes, it was. Right. Yep. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Anything you want to close with?
I mean, it's been an experience for sure, and obviously it's thrilling to be here in a great market that's really supporting hockey and loving what the head coach and everybody are putting out there. So we're thrilled with what's going on in Topeka, and hope people keep showing up, because that's been absolutely key is having people in attendance and being a part of what we're doing here. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on, Jon. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you having me. Thanks so much.
And that's going to do it for this week's episode of FPHL Beyond the Glass. Really insightful stuff there from Jon. We'll keep the conversation going in the Discord. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for being the best part of this episode of FPHL Beyond the Glass by Swan Hockey. We will see you soon.